pruning fruit trees, it's important to think about how we want the tree to be shaped for functional reasons. This apple tree, for example, has been pruned so it's an open base. The center is kind of open and allows sunshine to get in there, and rather than allowing it to be what it wants to be with a central leader. Instead, we've taken off all the branches that are crossing and the water sprouts that are pointing up, and we've opened it up so that it can get that sunshine in the middle. You have to be careful when you're doing an open vase cut because we get damage from the sun if we don't have some foliage to kind of help cover things. So you want to still have some branches and leaves that help protect this interior wood. This peach tree is struggling. It's struggling actually for a couple of reasons. One is the cut. This open vase was too aggressive and it didn't allow any foliage to kind of protect the wood. And also it's struggling from some nutritional problems that we'll talk about in another video another day. Not only pruning for shape and for functionality, but we also have to get rid of some of the dead wood. We don't ever want to take off too much wood because that can harm the tree, but we just gradually every year take off the things that are not going to be productive. We want to specifically look for water sprouts. They're branches that are pointing straight up. We want to look for branches that are pointing down. We want to look for branches that cross and get rid of those, and then any branches that are growing back into the center of the tree. So this branch needs to come off because it's pointing back to the middle. But when I cut this, I want to make sure I cut it right. If I cut just out here like that, that's a problem. That's going to be a point of infection. I've left too much wood. I also don't want to get right down here. That's also a problem if I cut it too close, kind of like cutting your nails too close to your fingernails. But you want to leave a little bit. You want to leave a little bit of an angle cut. You want to have a little bit of collar left over when you do that. And I might want to trim that down just a little bit more, but that's roughly what you want to do. So this mature cherry tree has been pruned so that it has the open vase look. It's doing pretty well. It's generating a lot of cherries. That open vase look is allowing the sunshine to come in and shine on those lower leaves. Okay, when we're pruning other trees that are not fruit trees, ornamental trees, we have some other things that we think about. We're not going to prune them in an open vase. I mean, they're going to be central leader type trees typically. With ornamental trees, we're doing the same things we're doing with the fruit trees in terms of taking care of any crossing branches, any branches that are going back into the center part of the tree, any water sprouts. We still would prefer to have branches like this that are kind of parallel to the ground. These are going to be stronger branches than, say, something like this that's pointing straight upwards. We also want to look for sprouts that are coming off the bottom of the tree and take those off. We've got a couple situations here behind me. First of all, this aspen tree, it's growing right up into these power lines. Now the aspen tree, it'll take a little bit of topping, and it'll be able to tolerate that kind of a pruning to keep it up out of those power lines. It'll force it to be more bushy. It'll force it probably to send off some sprouts in other places. Unfortunately, these evergreens behind me won't tolerate that type of a topping. When these things are starting to get up into the power lines, they're going to have to just come down or be pruned around them, which doesn't usually look very good. You'll also notice that both of these trees have damage from deer and elk. The Colorado blue spruce in the background, it's had a considerable amount of foliage that's been munched away by those critters, and you can see that that's a problem. So we're going to have to either prune around that to try to shape it to make it look better, or just take off all those lower branches, which really doesn't look very good for a Colorado spruce, but it's just one of the unfortunate things we have to deal with in landscapes. The pine tree behind me has also been attacked by deer and elk. The lower branches have all been removed, but it actually looks pretty good. It'll take that kind of a pruning without looking too terrible. It looks a little bit Dr. Seuss-ish, but it's going to be okay. It's going to recover, and these higher branches will stay up out of the reach of the deer and the elk. Thanks for tuning in to our Pruning Basics video. For more information, you can check out Sci-Scapes.com.